Hello, welcome to Politics 16, Season 3, Episode 5. That's about the only thing of this show that we do consistently is the introduction.
Yeah.
I say that, Paul may have noticed some episodes where we don't do that, so, yeah,
Well,
shout out.
at one point I did the introduction. It was the special, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's because it was a live special. And, when we finally do an episode of this and have guests on it, you can do the introduction then as well. That'd be, the thing. I introduce it when it's, vanilla or ready salted politics.
Yeah.
And then
I'll do the salt vinegar and the
prawn cocktail.
Yeah, sounds good to me. And the chocolate chip cookie dough. That'll be good for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really make that as a crisp flavour. I don't make vanilla.
No, they do it as an ice cream, hence your vanilla joke.
Yeah, I like that. I like ice cream. So, yeah, that segues us nicely into English Pros for English Laws.
Oh, really? Real smooth, real smooth.
Yeah, thank you. Talking of segues, you're no longer allowed to ride them, of course. I believe that's been within the last week, that they are now illegal.
Well, segways have been illegal since 2009 or something like that. But this is the new hover rollerboard thing.
Hoverboard, which does it hover? No, it doesn't.
No. Back to the Future Day, by the way, yesterday. Happy Back to the Future Day for everyone who really cares.
Yeah, it was good. I watched all 3 films on an independent broadcasting channel because they were all on. I genuinely managed to never actually get around to watching them.
So it was Independent Television was the channel that you watched. Was it Independent Television 2 that you watched?
It was, yeah. And then there was a Keith Lemon special, and it reminded me that I generally find Keith Lemon hilarious. I think part of it is when people say they don't like him, I understand it. But as someone who was minorly dabbled in stand-up comedy, what I like watching is the way with character comedy you can get away with saying so much, because obviously part of Keith Lemon is being an idiot or pretending to be an idiot when you interview someone. I mean, that's kind of a continuation of the Ali G theme of things and the Borat over. But what Keith Lemon does is, which it sounds like it's saying, oh, he does crude humour. In no way does that sound like an impressive contribution to comedy, but it's the level of crudeness you can get away with on television and to people's faces, and they don't really react in the way you would expect them to. That is that is an easy avenue for comedy, and I just think that's really impressive. But yeah, his Back to the Future special was pretty funny. I mean, it had Paddy McGuinness in. How could it not be funny?
I do like Paddy McGuinness. He's very funny.
He's good, yeah. But segways now, or hoverboards now illegal.
Yeah.
So
you'll still see them. I mean, I still see them hanging around. I mean, do you really think anyone... I mean, today they had this whole thing about the police and how it's not diverse enough.
Theresa May has criticised it. This was the second thing I wanted to talk about, but we'll do this first and then go back to English Votes for English Laws, because English Votes for English Laws is, from a legal standpoint, massive, legally quite significant consequences.
Yeah.
From a realism standpoint, utterly tedious. And unlikely to have any real noticeable impact unless they start up another layer of bureaucracy, which they won't, which I'm in favour of, because the whole point is, Tuesday afternoons when nothing's going on, it's oh, here's an England-only issue, everyone else go home. I mean, if I was an MSP, I'd be voting in favour of it, because it means they have to do less work. They're they're getting paid to not go to work on one afternoon a week. What a brilliant gig. But anyway, yeah, Theresa May, I'm trying to pull up the quote here. Basically, she criticised, I believe it was she criticised 4 police services, one of which was Durham. I think it was Durham, North Yorkshire, and 2 others, for not having any BME, black minority
or ethnic, yeah,
police officers. To which 2 of them said, well, we do. We have, I don't know whether they said we have 1 or we have at least 1, but I mean, saying you have none, it's oh, actually we've got 1. I don't know. I mean, what that means is that what Theresa May said is incorrect. But equally, from a sort of ideology kind of, yeah, from
trying to back yourself up.
Yeah, from a sweeping generalisation, you don't have any BME candidates. Oh no, we've got 1, and he's our good friend. Oh wow, brilliant.
But no, I completely agree with you. But I think honestly, I think the funniest thing about this whole situation is I don't think Theresa May has ever been to Durham or North Yorkshire, or to any of the places where these constabularies are. Because if you walk around there, and I'm not saying this in a racist way. I'm not saying this is in any other way. There just simply aren't any BME, black or minority or ethnic people there.
I
So
appreciate the point you're trying to make is that basically the demographics are not split equally. Like,
yeah,
and
so
it
the
takes
pool of talent from which you can draw from lacks the required constituents to make her point valid. If you see what I mean. If she said there are loads of black people in your community and yet you have no black police officers, then that's a valid point. To go up to Durham and say there are no black people in your community and you have no black police officers, they're going to go, well, where do you want us to get them from? Should we go to other parts of the country in order to find, potentially, box ticking candidates for our police force? It's totally ludicrous, completely stupid.
places listed. Sorry, it's Cheshire, Durham, Dyfed Powys, which I'm guessing is probably in Wales, and North Yorkshire. Yeah, I mean the graphs on there. I mean, it actually does get down to quite a tricky issue, really. Like, based on the issue you're saying is like it's kind of one of the issues that you see, I think, a little bit with some aspects of feminism as well. Is are you aiming for a completely representative thing based on national averages or locals, or so people say we should have, because the argument that large parties, basically Tory and Labour, and maybe the Lib Dems are their big party, I don't know, that'll be another special. If they have a shortlist, so should you have 50% of candidates be women, therefore 50% of MPs will be women because they make up 50% of the population? And some people say yes and some people say no, and there's a lot of reasons, but no one's denying that no one thinks that. But then do you extend it to the next level of, do you therefore need to make sure that you've got 4%, or I think it's less than 4%, 2% of MPs also be Jewish? And then, so, and it becomes a difficult question of where, should we be encouraging these trends? Yes, but are you aiming for a complete demographic breakdown of, so everything is 100% representative, which, I mean, there might be people who support that position. It seems a little bit, I mean, because also you're playing with percentages. There's, what, 600 and something MPs? So you need to have someone sort of, you need to have sort of 10 and 2/3 of an MP who are sort of, Chinese or Southeast Asian. Like that, you sort of get to these.
My grandparents were from Asia and one was Dutch, so that sort of works me out as part of the demographic of the UK.
It sort of sounds ludicrous, but that's the problem you have. So, but yeah, I mean, the point is that it is weird. Like, when you go to areas of the country where the ethnicity breakdown is massively different. I mean, you're London, I'm near London, I'm southeast. So, like, it's just having like a mix is just normal. Like, that's what you see every day. But
yeah.
I mean, I notice it when I go to really rural parts and there are only white people. I notice it. It doesn't really bother me because I'm not getting worried about whatever. It doesn't stress me out, but I do notice it.
Yeah.
And it does get to the actual point she's made. I don't know if she's trying to politically point score by saying, oh, aren't the police bad? I don't know if she's like, I don't know, trying to ride off the social media success of like just being like saying that the police are bad. Obviously, if in the US right now, like there's a lot of people saying those sort of things. There's a lot of people always trying to bash the police. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure what she's trying to get at here, because they could just turn around and say, oh, well, it's the government policies that aren't allowing us to recruit. It seems like it could be a bit of a shot in shooting yourself in the foot. I don't.
It could backfire. At a time where all she's trying to do at the moment is to cut the police force's budget, and she wants to bring the amount that councils and the government are spending on police down, and telling them they need to be more efficient for menial crimes, the smaller ones like petty theft and burglary, and concentrate more on the bigger crimes. Now, I can see the logic behind it. I disagree with it because I think that all crimes should be punished. because what's the point in having laws if you're not going to enforce them? But to then just come out and say, I'm disgusted by these police forces, or whatever the wording she used was. It's not right for these police forces to not be employing these kind of people. It's not right for her to be criticising police at the same time she wants to effectively downsize them. And give them budget cuts to have to handle, and to say, oh, you're not employing enough people, from this background. Well, the police could easily turn around and say, well, we're not employing enough people from any background because you're not giving us the budgets to do so. Half our cops out there are now over 50. You can see them; they're large, waddling, over 50s. They're about to hit retirement age. Honestly, in 10 years' time, all of the police will retire simply because no one's been there to replace them. I think that's the sad thing about this whole saga, is the fact that Theresa May is really, it's unfathomable what she's done. It really is stupid, if I'm being honest.
It is an interesting one. I mean, employing no one new and letting everyone else retire will force through a massive downsize of the police. I mean, it could be an absolute masterstroke. She's sort of 2 steps ahead of the game, really.
And then we descend into anarchy. Yay!
Yeah, not so good. But by then, the lack of... Hello?
Yeah, still here.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, brilliant, sorry. The screen just went blank on the recording PC. I was going to say, by then, with a complete lack of, sort of social housing or anything, no one will actually live in this country anymore. There'll be, 3 people living here. All the property will be owned by, Chinese and Russian billionaires. It'll literally be a commuter country. No one will live here, so there'll be no crime.
We'll all just live in France.
Yeah, there's probably very little crime on those rocky outcrops down near Antarctica because there's only penguins. It's going to be a similar situation.
I love that idea. Just living in France. Sod it. Yeah, let's all just move to France. Why not? Why don't we just let the immigrants come in and then we can just move to France and we can be immigrants in France? It's their problem now.
Yeah. Well, we discussed this last week, so all I'm going to do is get in a quick plug for last week's episode where we talk about the migrant crisis. But yeah, I mean, undeniably, it is if you're going to give Theresa May, look at her comments in a positive light, there is an obvious disparity. Even taking sort of local demographics into consideration, there is underrepresentation. But I mean, no one appears to have come up with a good solution because this has been an issue. It's kind of one of these issues which is long term. It doesn't affect the armed forces as much of a percent. This is from what I understand. Say the gap in the police service is sort of 10%. The gap in the armed forces is sort of 5%. So it's still statistically significant, but it's sort of underrepresentation. But it's not as bad.
I'm going to make a very serious point here, and I know you're not going to enjoy it, but it is going to be I think, a very good point, is in the communities that Theresa May is talking about being underrepresented in the police, there is this sort of, apathy is the wrong word, but and hatred's too strong, but there's a strong dislike of law enforcement in the first place because, we know for a fact that certainly during the Stephen Lawrence case, that the Metropolitan Police was institutionally racist, and that there are elements of that still exist within police forces within the UK. And at some point, communities that are black communities, minority communities, ethnic communities, they've all experienced some form of racial abuse, or potentially not racial abuse, but certainly racial profiling at the hands of the police, and that's what's driving this underrepresentation of those communities, is the lack of anyone there to stand up and go, I want to be involved in an organisation that has done this to my community in the past. There's no one there who says, I want to change that. I want to change the view, because they are too scared of not being accepted in their own community as a result of going into the police and being a member of a law enforcement agency that has in the past, and to a certain extent still does, racially profile and is racist towards these communities, and that is a sad indictment on our class system, on our social system in this country.
Very good point. Well made. We'll move on to English votes for English laws.
Talking of racism, let's all be English.
No, that's what the that Labour MP lady said. If you got you've got a white van and an England flag, you're a racist. Obviously, someone. That's the problem with all the statements about racism like that. No one sees the irony of, like, if you're white and you do these things, you're racist. Like, yep, don't want to judge people based on the colour of their skin. Good work. Like,
Yeah.
It is kind of a feedback loop on that sort of stuff. Who was that? Anyway, she didn't lose her seat, unlike Ed Balls of Ed Balls Day. But
I wonder if we'll still. Do you think we'll still celebrate Ed Balls Day next year?
I will.
Did you see the guy who took out the advert on the tube? Just the thing on Twitter that just said Ed Balls.
But are basically lads at heart.
I love it. It's great because they're the kind of people who would prank co-workers at like top city law firms or something like that.
Like when they get a replica of someone's car, put fake plates on it, and then just go and smash it up in their lunch hour. And the person's looking out the window like, "What's going on?" And like, obviously their car's safe. Like,
yeah.
I mean, those people are. You've just smashed like an £80,000 car. Like how? Like it's not an appropriate thing to do with that amount of money when you could like be helping people out or spending it wisely. But it's still sort of funny to watch the YouTube video afterwards. Like,
so funny. So funny.
Yeah, English votes for English laws. The government have managed to force it through, which is probably a good thing.
I mean, as I said just before we came on, I'm not surprised this came through, if I'm being honest. I'm surprised. What I am surprised about is how much of a fuss the Scottish National Party, the SNP, are making about it. Because
I mean, I'd like to point out, in their defence, they are an opposition party, so they're meant to like sort of be a little bit anti the government.
Oh
like,
yeah.
Sort of like being a political teenager, like whatever the government do is wrong and sucks.
Yeah, that's a good point. But at the end of the day, they want independence. There's no doubt about that. The Scottish National Party want independence for Scotland. So if we were to turn around and say we want independence for England from Scotland, are they going to kick off? Probably not.
It is a good point. In the long run,
essentially what we're doing is
their hands. But
essentially what we're doing is saying that whilst we're still intertwined as nations, we don't really want you to have a say in what happens within these borders of England, which I think it's kind of all right. You know, if we want to, I mean, the annoying thing is, well, actually, no. Before the election, it would have been annoying because a lot of Labour held a lot of seats in Scotland, which meant that if they done English votes for English laws, then Labour would lose out a significant portion of their voting power within the Parliament in order to pass English votes. But now that it's predominantly SNP, and I think there's only 2 seats left in Scotland that weren't taken by the SNP in the last general election.
Isn't it 3? Isn't there one of each? There's one Labour.
Yeah, there's one Labour, one Conservative.
Yeah,
I think so, yeah, just on the border towns or whatever it is. But yeah, I think it makes perfect sense. Why should a political party that doesn't want to be part of England, or doesn't want to be part of the United Kingdom, and therefore not a part of England, have any say in English laws? That, to me, makes sense. And the fact that they're kicking up a stink about it shows that they're really, I hate to say two-faced, it's not the right word, they're a bit schizophrenic in the fact that, yes, we do want independence, but we also want to be able to vote on English laws. It makes no sense to me. I'm sure you see where I'm coming from here.
I get where you come from. I think the problem with it is obviously at the moment Westminster laws do trump Scottish laws. What's kind of ridiculous about it from a sort of political theory, I can't really think of a term point of view, is that you've basically got, you've got Westminster, but then for Scottish issues, you've got Scottish Parliament. For Welsh issues, you've got the Welsh Assembly. For Northern Ireland issues, you've got whatever they call it over there, the Northern Ireland
It's
House.
it's the assembly, isn't it?
Yeah, some sort of thing. I never liked assemblies at school. I thought they were boring. And then for England, you haven't got an English thing. You've basically just got people being told not to turn up to work on a Wednesday afternoon. Like it is sort of ridiculous. But then it's like most. I mean, the UK's political system is arguably ridiculous. Having like the idea of a constitutional monarchy from like compared to say a republic with a Bill of Rights like American style. If you look at one. If you were going to establish a new country, you wouldn't choose to put in a constitutional monarchy, but it just works really well. So I just think it's another interest. I actually find it really interesting that as part of our uncodified rather than unwritten constitution, this is just another sort of strange hybrid system, but I actually think will probably be quite a sensible thing and will probably work fairly well. I'll be interested to see what when the first issues arise. Because obviously, if it's going to be over something like what powers should be devolved to UK local councils, I'm sure that the rules, like what Scottish councils can do, is probably different anyway. I imagine there's been some tinkering by the Scottish Parliament. I think the real issue will be when you've got big infrastructure projects like railways and roads in there. Because if it's only going to be in England, therefore Scottish MPs aren't allowed to vote on things like HS2, but even that's a national project, even though it's only in England. So I think what will be interesting is to see where the balance lies, and obviously like who complains about it and stuff. I think that's going to be more of an issue because I'm sure that half the time when Parliament's in session, most of the people don't turn up anyway. Like if you watch BBC Parliament, there's rarely more than 20 people in there. There's normally more Lords in the House of Lords.
Well, they've got less sort of more spare time on their hands, really. Haven't they? The Lords.
His bingo's not until Thursday. But yeah, I think that'll be the issue. I think that'll be interesting to see is what they classify as England rather than national interest. But oh, we've got a guess. Anyway, we should talk about celebrity gossip very quickly. Well, she's been on the show before. So that's kind of old news. But anyway, did you see that for the 2020 candidacy, a new contender has been announced? Sort of like in Super Smash Bros, where a new challenger approaches. Lindsay Lohan has thrown a metaphorical hat into the metaphorical ring. There's a few issues with this.
I'm pretty sure no one with a criminal record is allowed to run.
Well, this is the point she was making. Is basically she went on Instagram to announce it. I'll just get up the tweet here. Lindsay Lohan in #2020. I may run for president through ups and downs. #yes we can. Let's do this. At Kanye West. #True Spirits. Thank you for inspiring us to be better people. At Barack Obama. #Kanye West 2020. Lindsay Lohan at 35. Lindsay Lohan 2020 with #34 years of experience. Uniting World Nations. And then she's tagged at the California Center, I don't know what it is, at Save the Society, and at UNICEF. Now, according to the US Constitution, you've got to be 35 to run for office. She's only going to be 34. But people keep saying she's only going to be 34 in 2020, but obviously she has a birthday. So, will she be... I don't know if she's 33 turning 34, or if loads of people are thick and they're like, oh, she's only going to be this, but then she'll turn 35. She also used some Gandhi quotes on her Instagram, and they've both been to jail, so that's quite a long list of similarities.
I've got a quick question for you. Does the Constitution say that you can't run for president if you're under 35? Or you can't be sworn in as president if you're under 35? Because if she runs in 2020 and is 34 and has her birthday before the 21st of January 2021, then she can still be president.
Well, that's the point I was going to make. I don't know the specifics. I was going to Google them and then I forgot. But that is what I've assumed is happening because you don't. In the US, there's kind of it's about from memory, it's about a 3-month sort of crossover period where you sort of do a bit of an apprenticeship of being president, which isn't actually a terrible idea, because I'm sure there's loads of boring admin you've got to get through, like, welcome to the White House, this is where you scan your key card, and it's like, oh, your key card doesn't work, let's go down and see the IT blokes, Miss Lohan. Like, I'm sure there's loads of that stuff that you've got to get done.
At times, her birthday is in July, so she will not be 35 by the time that she gets sworn in, even if she is elected in 2020.
So if she's again, genius, get elected for a job you're not allowed to do. So she's again, someone getting paid not to go to work. This is about the most common theme we've discovered in all of our political podcasts. There's a lot of people there running on platforms to get paid to not go to work. There's
a lot of Sinn Féin MPs when we did the general election. There's SMPs this week about you not having to turn up for English laws. And then there's Lindsay Lohan, who's being voted, who wants to run for president, even though she won't be 35. Which, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I thought Lindsay Lohan was already in her mid-30s.
I mean, don't say that.
I don't know why. I just think she's significantly older than me, and clearly she isn't. She's less than 4 years older than me. I would have gone with 10 years.
You may have just lost us a listener there. She might have been about to comment on this video, like, how informative. Oh, I don't like you anymore. Hashtag Lindsay Lohan 2020. No, it is quite an interesting question, because I don't know of anyone who's ever tried to run for president before at too young an age.
Or would they amend the Constitution? Because, you know...
I don't think they would. I think the thing is, though, because when that Constitution came in, they put you had to be 35, and life expectancy was something like 39 in the US at the time. The figures could be wrong, but basically, it was definitely well under 50, life expectancy. The point of it was that you had to be sort of quote-unquote old, and therefore statistically wise. Basically, they didn't want anyone just turning up and doing it at age 18, 19. Which, having been 18, 19, I can understand why they might have wanted to put that kind of safeguard in.
But back in those days, the life expectancy was so low because they all had guns and shot each other.
But arguably, should the Constitution have been amended to, kind of like UK pension age has gone up and up and up, but only very recently, should they have tried to put that age up? Or it's kind of, I mean, I knew that was in there because of AS Politics, but before that, I'd never realised, like, just from the general knowledge of the Constitution. Obviously, growing up, I'd heard of the Fifth Amendment and the Second Amendment. Those are the two amendments people are particularly proud of. I don't know what the First Amendment was.
They had to amend one of the people's signatures at the bottom.
All right, it was just a spelling mistake.
I have no idea what the First Amendment was. I did that wrong. Let's do it again.
Yeah, Second Amendment is separation of church and state, isn't it? Yeah, and the fifth is the right not to incriminate yourself. So.
Fourth is bear arms.
Yeah, but I haven't got a clue what the First Amendment was. Maybe it's like Coldplay, like their first album wasn't really that big. They kind of got big on the second album, so.
Yeah, it's true, actually. I was just thinking, what was their first album? I realised it's Parachutes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it didn't sell as well. Decent album, but
And then Rush of Blood to the Head.
Yeah, but the point is I don't know if there's any precedent of people trying to run at too young an age, because the point is that you could argue if you get elected for a 4-year term and you're going to be 35 for even one day of that 4-year term, are you therefore eligible to run because you can be president? Is it socially irresponsible to leave a country with no leadership for up to 3 years, or in her case, however long it would be, several months?
Talking of
It does raise a lot of questions. And
not being able
ultimately,
to
the most
run.
important question, if she does win, will Kanye West interrupt her victory speech?
No, no, because that's what he's going to do when he's elected president, and Taylor Swift is his vice president, and she's introducing him on stage. She's going to try and introduce him on stage, and he's going to grab the microphone. That's exactly what's going to happen. You heard it here first. Politics.
I bet you get long odds on that right now.
In 2015, I've got DeLorean, I've got a time machine, I can go forward, and I can tell you exactly what's going to happen when Kanye West is elected president of the United States. I mean, don't get me wrong, economically, we are... Well, actually, no, maybe not Kanye West. Maybe if 50 Cent was president, then economically America would be quite screwed. But I think they're pretty much there.
50 Cent, he made $100 million from selling water. He's a shrewd businessman.
He is very shrewd businessman. He also managed to...
It'd be a great Chancellor of the Exchequer. Can you imagine him collecting taxes, playing I Get Money? Like, it'd be brilliant.
Or just his entire Get Rich or Die Trying album. Just all he'd do is just play that album on repeat.
If he's doing that with public finances, everyone will be in favour of it. I mean, I don't really want to milk this joke too long. I just love it. Because there's so many jokes you can make about Kanye being president. Like, he's just going to finish a speech, just drop the mic and walk off. He's going to be waiting for an encore. Like, it's. I don't even know if it's that funny or if it's just like mildly funny, and I'm quite amused by it.
Talking of something that I was quite amused by.
It's just related to the show because we really need to end the
No, it is. It is seriously. Did you see Joe Biden's announcement that he wasn't going to run for president next time? Honestly, it was like delivering news that you just run over someone's cat. It was so morose and depressing. Everyone there was sort of like, they knew what was coming, and they all knew that Joe Biden wasn't going to run because he doesn't have enough time, and he came out and said, I'm not going to run because I don't have enough time, and everyone went, yeah, we kind of thought that already. Okay, and Barack Obama was there. He stood there behind Joe Biden like this. And I just thought, wow, who died? And at the look at Joe Biden, it could have been him. But there we go. That's my point made.
Oh, I might have to reconsider my point on Lindsay Lohan. She posted another photo, this one of her and Kanye talking backstage at some event. I like the way that's actual journalism. Oh, it's just at some event. That's like Carl Pilkington delivering the news. Where were they? Oh, there was some event. With the note, the first thing I want to do as president is take care of all children suffering in the world. Hashtag Queen Elizabeth showed me how by having me in her country. Now, make what you will of current UK social policy. She's just bigged up Liz, so I'm massively in favour of her. I'm a massive swing voter. I'm a Lohan convert.
Should we go to the states and vote for her then?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to like slag her off too much because like it is ridiculous, like to an extent, running when you're too young. But given where she was 5-6 years ago, like she's clearly massively developed her ambition from I want to get trolleyed on a Saturday night to I want to be in the White House. Like, you know, so I don't want to be too mean to her. Not that she'll never see this, unless she is. Maybe she's just one of those eggs on Twitter who's going to start trolling us when we make it big.
Yeah, like we're going to make it anywhere near as big as Lindsay Lohan.
No, but, definitely not. But,
you seen that photo of Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, and Britney Spears in the car together, and the caption reads, "Let's go and pick up Miley."
Maybe she'll run for president as well. Miley, hashtag Miley 2024.
Do you think they could just set up a whole new Democratic Party just made out of celebrities?
Yeah. Do you reckon the Illuminati are actually worried about this? Do you reckon they're like, oh, we've created celebrity culture and it's massively backfired on us?
What my favourite idea about I just saw this, the Illuminati being worried about someone being elected is they've created these like race of important politicians who are very serious and very intelligent group of people. You know, they may have differing views, but they are very intelligent, highly intelligent people. And just a bunch of total morons from the West Coast have decided, actually, we're going to run, and there is a distinct possibility that they could actually be elected. I mean, that if I was the one world governing body in the background, I would genuinely be scared of that. That this
Yeah,
nation, the nation would be ruled by total morons.
Or, like, if Lindsay does win, it'll be like a couple of years ago when she was, like, back on the source. Like, the Illuminati will have her penciled in for that kind of meeting where they tell you that they're in control, and she'll turn up late and be drunk and fall out with the, like, producer and storm off home, and they just will have no influence.
Yeah, it would just be like, well, did that just happen? Did she just walk out on us? Did she turn up late and drunk? Okay, we need to have her assassinated.
Anyway, that's been episode 16. We don't know what we'll talk about next week because we're kind of up to date on current talking points, so we'll just have to wait for what the news actually does. But anyway, thanks for watching.
Bye.